Welcome, everyone. Ready to dive deep into the AI revolution.
Sounds a little intense, but I'm definitely game.
Oh, it is, but that's why we're here. We're going to be
Yeah.
using this 2017 research article by Professor Spyros Makridakis as our guide. It's called The Forthcoming Artificial Intelligence AI Revolution: Its Impact on Society and Firms.
Now, this actually builds on an earlier paper of his from back in 1995, right?
Yeah, you're right. The one where he talks about super automation and how those huge industrial companies would start to decline.
Uh-huh. He was pretty spot on with a lot of it, but some things, like the whole internet and smartphone explosion, kind of took everyone by surprise, even him.
Shows how tricky predicting the future can be, right?
Totally. But, you know, looking back at what he got right and wrong can give us some clues about where AI might be headed and how it'll shake things up.
I like that, using the past as a lens to look at the future. So what kind of clues are we talking about?
Well, one thing that really jumps out is how the time between inventing something and it being everywhere is getting shorter and shorter.
Okay, I'm following. Like what?
Well, think about this steam engine. Took over 200 years for that thing to go from invention to being everywhere.
Makes sense.
Then you've got computers. Went from that massive E&I thing to business computers in just 20 years.
And smartphones, it feels like those were everywhere overnight.
Exactly. Things are speeding up like crazy, and that means AI could change things even faster than we think.
So no more waiting around for the future, huh? It's already knocking. But what exactly are we calling AI these days? I mean, my smart thermostat calls itself AI, but is it really?
Good point. We got to be careful not to lump those simple smart devices with true artificial intelligence.
So what's the difference?
Well, true AI can learn and change on its own, not just follow instructions. Remember Deep Blue beating Kasparov at chess back in '97, or AlphaGo mastering that crazy complex game of Go?
Yeah, those were huge. All of a sudden, it seemed like machines could beat us at the things we thought we were best at.
And that's what makes the future of AI both exciting and kind of scary, right? Where do we go from here? And what does it mean for us if machines keep getting better than us at, well, everything?
Big questions for sure. Luckily, Professor Makridakis has some thoughts. He outlines four possible scenarios for the future of AI in his research. Each one's got its own set of implications.
So let's start with the optimists, shall we?
Yeah.
You've got folks like Ray Kurzweil, who believe AI will lead to this transhumanist world where we basically merge with technology and overcome our biological limits. He calls it GNR, genetics, nanotechnology, and robotics.
Wow. Okay, so we're talking no more diseases, living forever, robots doing all the boring stuff.
Yeah, that's the vision. Pretty utopian, right? Humans and tech becoming something totally new.
Sounds almost too good to be true. And I bet there are people who think it's more like a recipe for disaster.
You bet. On the flip side, you've got folks like Bill Joy, Yuval Noah Harari, and others who are worried about AI getting too powerful and becoming a threat to humanity.
Like the whole Terminator scenario, where AI becomes so smart it decides we're unnecessary.
Yeah, that kind of thing. They argue that if we become too reliant on AI, we could lose our independence, our creativity, even our place in the world.
Pretty chilling stuff. But there's got to be some middle ground between those two extremes, right? Not everyone's a utopian dreamer or a doomsday prophet.
True, true. That's where the pragmatists come in. People like Sam Altman, Michio Kaku, and John Markoff believe we can use AI to make our lives better without letting it take over.
So, not humans versus machines, but more like a partnership.
Exactly. They see AI as a tool to boost human intelligence, helping us solve tough problems and achieve more than we could on our own.
Kind of like those cyborg chess players who are crushing the competition, right? Human intuition and strategy combined with AI's raw power, that's a tough combo to beat.
Absolutely. But even if we can find that balance, there are still tough questions we need to ask. Like, how do we make sure things are fair and prevent a few people from having all the control over these powerful AI systems?
Totally valid concern. And just to spice things up even more, we've also got the skeptics out there who think that true AI, the kind that can really think and feel like a human, that's just not possible.
Yeah, they argue that algorithms, no matter how fancy, will never be able to fully grasp the nuances of human thought, our emotions, and our intuition.
So are they underestimating AI, or are there just some things about the human mind that machines can never copy?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? A question that philosophers and scientists have been debating for ages, and it's only getting more urgent as AI keeps getting smarter.
It feels like we're standing at the edge of something completely new. A world where the line between humans and machines is blurring.
And that shift's going to affect every part of our lives, from how we work to how we organize our societies.
Speaking of work, let's talk about how this AI revolution could shake up the world of business. Will the big tech companies stay on top, or will we see some new players emerge?
That's where things get really interesting.
Totally. We've got a lot to unpack there. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a closer look at what Professor Makridakis has to say about who might win and lose in this AI-powered world.
He looks at some really interesting examples that show just how unpredictable innovation can be and how important it is for companies to be able to adapt to rapid change.
This is why I love doing these deep dives. We're not just skimming the surface, we're getting into the details that help us understand the forces that are shaping the future.
And you never know what kind of surprising insights those details might reveal, the kind that challenge our assumptions and open up new ways of thinking.
Can't wait to dig in. But first, quick reminder to everyone listening. If you're enjoying this deep dive on the AI revolution, hit that subscribe button and share this episode with your friends.
We love having you along for the ride. Now let's get back to those businesses and see how they're going to fare in this brave new world of AI.
Okay, so if I'm getting this right, Makridakis thinks the companies that do well in the AI age aren't the ones with the most money, but the ones who can adapt and innovate the fastest.
You got it. It's not about size, it's about agility. Companies got to be able to change direction quickly, embrace new tech, and keep their business models evolving.
Makes sense. The tech world's moving so fast that if you're stuck in your ways, you're going to get left behind. But what does that kind of adaptability look like in the real world? Got any good examples?
Oh, tons. Just think back to 1995. I mean, who could have predicted Google or Facebook back then? They didn't even exist. Most people were still figuring out this whole internet thing.
Yeah, and now they're everywhere, totally changed how we communicate, get information, even do business.
Crazy, right? And that's Makridakis' point. These big innovations are often unpredictable. What seems obvious now was totally overlooked back then.
Like that story about the Google founders almost selling their search engine for, what was it, like $1.6 million?
Yeah, talk about a close call. Shows you that even the best ideas can be met with doubt.
So the companies that will win in the AI era are the ones that can spot those hidden gems, right? The ones that everyone else thinks are crazy ideas.
Exactly. Got to have that vision for the future, even when others don't see it. But vision's not enough, is it?
Not by itself, no. What else is needed?
You got to be really good at using these new AI tools, streamlining your business, giving customers that personalized experience.
So it's not just about inventing the next big thing. It's also about using AI to make every part of your business better, right? From the
Yeah.
products to the customer service.
And that means understanding how AI actually works and how to use it to tackle specific problems you're facing. It's not enough to just buy some AI software and hope for the best.
So you need a plan, right? A way to
Right.
fit AI into your current systems and processes.
Totally. And you need the right people to execute that plan.
Smart people who actually know how to use this stuff.
Yeah, that's another thing Makridakis talks about, talent management. And keeping those top-notch folks, the ones who not only get AI, but can use it in creative and ethical ways.
Because even the most advanced AI is only as good as the humans running it.
True, true. And speaking of tools, strategic acquisitions are going to be huge in the AI age.
You mean those big tech companies buying up all the promising AI startups?
You got it. It's a way to get expertise quickly and stay ahead of the competition. But it also raises some questions about, a few companies having too much power.
Yeah. It's not all sunshine and rainbows,
Yeah.
right? All these advancements come with some risks.
For sure. This AI revolution could actually make existing inequalities worse, both within and between countries.
Let's talk about that. What kind of pitfalls are we looking at?
Well, job displacement is a big one. As AI and automation get more advanced, a lot of jobs that humans do now could disappear.
It's scary, right? I mean, robots replacing workers in factories, that's already happening. People are worried about their jobs, and I get it.
Yeah, but historically, when new tech comes along, it ends up creating more jobs than it eliminates. The key is to adapt and get ready for that shift, just like we did with other technological revolutions.
So it's more about a change in the types of jobs available, not everyone losing their jobs.
Right. The challenge is figuring out what those new jobs will be
Mhm.
and making sure people have the skills to do them.
Which skills are we talking about? What should people be learning?
Makridakis has a few ideas.
I'm all ears.
For one, creativity. AI is great at following rules and analyzing data, but it's not so good at coming up with truly original ideas. The kind that lead to breakthroughs in science or art.
So people who can think outside the box, connect different ideas, that's where humans will still have the edge.
Absolutely. Then you've got social and emotional intelligence. As AI takes over more routine stuff, human interaction becomes even more valuable.
It makes sense as we spend more time with machines. Being able to build relationships and understand people will be a huge asset.
Right on. And then there's critical thinking, being able to analyze information, spot fake news, make good decisions, even when there's tons of data coming at you. That's a skill that will always be in demand.
So the AI revolution is kind of pushing us to be more human, right? To focus on the things that make us unique, our creativity, empathy, and ability to connect with each other.
You hit the nail on the head. It's a challenge to redefine what it means to be human in this new world.
Yeah.
But hey, speaking of connection, how do you think AI is going to affect the way companies get started and get funding? Will Silicon Valley still be the place to be, or will we see things spread out more?
Interesting question. What does Makridakis say about that?
Well, he thinks that with the internet and things like crowdfunding, we'll see more and more startups popping up all over the world.
So it's not about being in the right location anymore. It's about having the right idea and connecting with people globally.
Exactly. And getting funding's changing too. Investors are putting money into promising AI ventures, no matter where they are.
Sounds like it's easier than ever to be an entrepreneur.
In some ways, yes. But don't forget, competition's tougher than ever, and most startups still fail.
True, but there's always that risk. What's exciting is that the potential rewards are huge, and anyone with a good idea and the hustle can make it happen.
Yeah, it's kind of leveling the playing field. But we can't ignore the challenges. Makridakis points out that developing countries might struggle in this new AI world.
Because if companies don't need to go where labor is cheap anymore, what happens to countries that depend on manufacturing jobs?
Yeah, it's a big concern. And if those countries don't keep up with AI, they risk falling further behind.
Sounds like it could create more inequality, not just between people, but between countries too.
Definitely something to watch out for. It shows how important it is to invest in education and infrastructure, especially in developing countries.
Goes back to that idea of responsible innovation, right? Making sure the AI revolution benefits everyone.
And speaking of benefits, let's not forget about the potential impact on work and leisure.
All right, let's hear it. Are we all going to be chilling on beaches while robots do everything, or are we all going to be unemployed and struggling?
Well, it's probably somewhere in between, right?
Figured as much. But seriously, what does Professor Makridakis say about the future of work?
He doesn't sugarcoat it. He says the future of work is one of the biggest things people are worried about when it comes to AI.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Affects everyone. If AI is going to change how we work, we got to understand those changes.
That's where we'll pick up in part 3 of our deep dive.
Okay, so part 3. Time to tackle the big question. What happens to work when the machines can do it all?
Well, Makridakis doesn't pretend there's no reason to worry. Some jobs, especially the ones that are very repetitive or involve lots of data crunching, yeah, those are definitely at risk.
I mean, we see it happening already, right? Self-checkout, those customer service chatbots, algorithms, trading stocks. Feels like we're headed towards a world without jobs.
But here's the thing, think about history. Every time we've had a big technological leap, yeah, there's been disruption, but ultimately it's led to more jobs, not fewer. It's about a shift, not jobs disappearing altogether.
Okay, so instead of everyone being out of work, we're going to see a bunch of new types of jobs pop up.
Exactly. Think about it. App developers, social media managers, people flying drones, even AI ethicists. None of those jobs existed a couple of decades ago.
That's a good point. But it also means we can't just sit around and wait for those new jobs to appear, right? We got to be prepared. We got to get ourselves and the next generation ready for this new world of work.
Makridakis is really big on that. He says we need education and retraining programs to teach people the skills that'll be in demand when AI takes over.
So not just going to college and calling it a day, it's about constantly learning new things, keeping our skills sharp, and staying ahead of the game.
And it's not all about tech skills either. Remember those human skills we were talking about? Creativity, emotional intelligence, thinking critically. Those become even more important when AI is handling the routine stuff.
Because those are the things that machines, at least for now, can't do, right? It's what makes us human, and it's what'll make us valuable in the future workforce. But let's be real, some people will lose their jobs. How do we make sure that transition is fair?
Makridakis looks at some solutions, and one idea that's gaining traction is a universal basic income.
Whoa, that's a big one. Giving everyone a guaranteed minimum income, whether they have a job or not, that's a pretty radical idea.
It is radical, but it kind of shows how we need to think outside the box to deal with the impact of AI on our economy and society.
Because if robots are doing most of the work, we got to make sure everyone can still take care of themselves and be part of society, right?
Exactly. The AI revolution isn't just about tech, it's about society as a whole. It makes us rethink not just how we work, but how we take care of each other.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. AI's history, what might happen in the future, how it'll affect businesses, how work will change, even the big picture impact on society. It's a lot to take in.
It really is. But I think the main takeaway is that we shouldn't be afraid of the AI revolution. We should be excited about it.
Yeah, be careful, but also curious, right?
Yeah.
And be ready to adapt to whatever comes next.
Exactly. And that's what makes this so interesting. We can't know for sure what the future holds, but we can learn as much as we can and be prepared to navigate it.
We can talk about it, look at it from different angles, and try to shape this AI-powered world into something good.
And never stop learning, just like those AI systems we're so fascinated by.
Well said. So to everyone listening, as this AI thing keeps developing, come back to this deep dive every now and then. Stay curious, stay informed, and hey, maybe you'll be the one who creates the next big AI breakthrough.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep. Thanks for joining us.